Welcome to yet another edition of Rising Kashmir Debates. As promised, in this program, we'll discuss things that concern people of Jammu and Kashmir. And today, Rising Kashmir Debates, why surge in violence against women in Jammu and Kashmir. And to discuss this, we have an esteemed panel of guests with us. We have with us Qurat-ul-Ain, an educationist and a social activist. We have with us Javaid Maqdoomi, former IGP Kashmir and has been a member of Public Service Commission. We also have with us Mantasha Binti Rashid, who has done a lot of campaign against harassment of women in offices. Thanks very much for joining us on Rising Kashmir Debates. As you know, in the recent cases, especially when the Minister for Health, Shabir Khan, and more recently against officials of Health Department, including the director, were involved and accused of being involved in harassing women or molesting women. That is why we've come on a panel and we've come on a forum to discuss this particular topic. That is why we've called on for this debate, why there's a surge of violence against women, be it in transport, local transport, be it in colleges, be it in tuition centers, be it on the streets or even in the government offices. Kuraji, will start from you.
Shahana, you have rightly said that we are here because there is an upsurge. Not only in Kashmir, even at national level we have been witnessing that there is, I don't know what is the reason. Either I think there is too much of publicity because of media, or this menace was there also, earlier also. But my personal opinion is that in every civilized society, such cases, such criminal cases are being taken very seriously and followed by quite, transparent, objective prosecution and this investigative agencies. But unfortunately, whether you agree with me or not, or whether the other panelists agree with me or not, that in our state everything is contaminated, politically contaminated. And there are various factors responsible for this. Just to make my point clear, let me leave this case here for which we have invited us to discuss.
Yes.
Let us take the sex scandal case. Sex scandal case, we were witnessing what is next, what will be the process. Suddenly the case was shifted to Chandigarh. I mean, this was an indication that state itself is responsible to belittle the institutions of its own institutions.
But why do you think that state did that?
Who its society also is responsible because there was a campaign of boycott of investigation. But state should have put down. State should have put down its foot, and rather than shifting the case to Chandigarh, it should have been tackled in Srinagar. No, that means there is the message is very obvious that state itself does not have any confidence in its own institutions. If the state doesn't have any confidence in its institutions, how do you expect that the people will have confidence in these institutions?
Since how long are you observing this change in trend?
I think quite some time. My personal life has also witnessed that though at this stage of life I should have not any complaint, because I am at a stage where everybody should respect me, everybody should have lot of. But I would take in a stride that since there is global change, it is not a Kashmir problem. It is a national problem.
Okay.
In fact, it is an international problem we have been witnessing. I just now told you that reason is that now the media is coming with the news. Media is giving a lot of publicity, and those people, there was a time when people would hardly know about this.
Let's come back to you on this. Let's go to Javaid Sahab. Javaid Sahab, we want to know that you have been serving Kashmir Police for quite a long time and you've been heading it. Have you also observed this trend that there's a kind of a surge in violence? And then what has been your attitude when you were serving the service? What was your attitude towards such cases?
You see, this is a worldwide phenomenon, and then we have at the national level we have had very serious cases and very serious problems. I don't first of all know what is the magnitude of problem in Kashmir. I think my perception is that there are two sides of the picture. One is that in Kashmir the problem is not as big as it is at the national level or the country level, and outside India also cases have been happening. Even White House of United States of America.
Does that mean we should wait for the problem
No, I'm coming to that. No, I never mean so. What I am saying is that we have to explore that whether these cases are suppressed in Kashmir.
Okay.
And that's why we don't exactly know what's the magnitude of the problem. Why suppressed? It is obvious.
But does that mean that it is a failure on the part of administration, that it has not been able to conduct, just for my argument's sake, it has not been able to conduct investigations?
You see, really, I am not interested in holding A guilty or B guilty. It's a problem of our society. It's a problem of our place. It's a problem of our soil. I am interested in finding out the real problem, its magnitude, and then how do we tackle this problem? I'm interested in that.
We'll come back to you, ma'am. Mantasha, you have done a lot. We have come across cases. We have seen women complaining about harassment, local transportation, eve-teasing on streets, violence against women in homes and offices, which is like unexpected in a society which used to consider itself firstly a Muslim-dominated Jammu and Kashmir and a kind of a civilized society. What do you think are the reasons why is this happening?
Shana, there are various perspectives I would like to put in place. Number one is that let's not be ethnocentric about our values, that we have had a glorious past, because basically basking in glory doesn't lead us to anywhere. If we want to look back and celebrate what has been there, then we are doomed. We need to know what is going on and what needs to be done, number one. Number two, as both my panelists said, that it is an international problem. It's not just a problem which is limited to Kashmir, our valley or our country. It is an international problem, no doubt. But other countries, other developed countries in the world, they have come up with mechanisms to deal with the problem. While as our subcontinent largely is still lagging behind. The reason being, I would say, sociologically, the reason is denial. We don't like to agree and accept that we as a society don't respect our women, that we as a society put our women to trouble, we as a society look down upon our women. We want to believe and we want to celebrate that we are something. We are Muslims. We have a glorious past. This doesn't happen here, but which is actually not correct. You open a newspaper in the morning, you have all sorts of cases which are prevalent in other parts of the world. Then how can we say that these things are not prevalent here? They are very much prevalent here. And Shahana, let me tell you at the same time, what we see is just tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath is a sea. It is a sea. There are cases of violence in home. There are cases of incest. There are cases of molestation by strangers in public buses, by fathers, by brothers. The scenario is very bleak. Let's not celebrate that, no, everything is all right. We need to accept the problem, only then we can find a solution.
Do you agree that it is true that it is only just the tip of the iceberg that is being reported? Why do you think that people do not come out openly and report about it?
You see, perhaps I have not been able to convey my point. My point is that it is a malaise, and you have to search its treatment, its remedy. But what I am saying, I'm again reiterating that first of all, let us see what is the magnitude of the problem.
Maybe statistically,
One. Not only statistics, because statistics will not always help us. That may confuse us most of the time, as it is confusing today. Statistically, I think we don't have too many cases here. So far as the administration is concerned, what you were talking about, I would say that there are mechanisms in place, there are agencies in place, there are organizations in place which are supposed to deal this problem.
To keep a check and regulation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So do we have that in place?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You have the laws available.
Okay.
Do you apply those laws?
That is the question.
That is
my question exactly. Do we apply those laws?
I'll tell you. What is happening is that you have laws in place. I don't want to take you to the legal jargon of quoting,
but at least we should have an idea.
Quoting the sections of law. For protection of women, you have laws available with you. The question is that
implementation.
Do you implement these? Now, for implementation, I'll briefly tell you what is to be done. You have a complaint. You have a complaint. Proceed on this complaint. Then take cognizance, investigate, then go to the court, prosecute, and seek conviction.
Has it ever happened in any of the cases that you've come?
Unfortunately, the rate of conviction is so dismal. It's of course frustrating.
Shahana, it's a matter of concern that the laws we have in place right now in the state of Jammu and Kashmir are not sufficient. You know, only last year at the central level, Sexual Harassment Act was passed, whereas we do not have a similar law in place in J&K. Similarly, there are Vishakha guidelines of 1997 in Bhavri Devi case, in which Supreme Court gave a ruling that we have to have a committee in every organization, government as well as non-government.
So do we have that?
No, sadly we have in some organizations, but this has to, a strong message has to go to everyone who is at the helm of affairs to have such committees in place. And at the same time, having said this, I don't mean that having laws in place is going to solve the problem. Shahana, the problem is a sociological one. Any state, any administration or any lawmaking agency is not enough to tackle it.
Javaid has projected a very rosy picture. Law, take cognizance.
Yes.
But I don't think, my point is that in our state, leave it outside state J&K, but in our state, I think the general perception of people is that government agencies do not take such cases seriously. They just ignore it. And they are also even selective. That sometimes they will highlight a particular case, God knows for what reasons. And how many rape cases have been investigated and came out with this, they have come out with the judgment.
Javaid Sahib, I guess you should answer this particular...
How many
She's
cases?
raised a question actually.
Qurat ji has not perhaps taken my point in the right perspective. I am not producing a rosy picture. What I was trying to tell you is that if you have the laws in place, the question is that if you don't revert back to the laws, what are you going to do? First thing is that education.
Yeah, certainly.
First, before going for prosecution, before going for investigation, before going for other things, first thing is education. It's a mindset.
It's a mindset.
You have to change the mindset of the people. Then only you have to catch them young.
We have had moral education in schools. We have discussed and talked about it.
When you say education, it is a long process. Till then, you are getting people finally educated, making them morally conscious, making them accountable, and making them... What are you going to do with the rising menace? How are you going to deal with that?
Do you think, sir, that the administration has actually been able to handle these cases?
No.
Has it been prompt in action?
The problem is that I think most of these cases, like many other cases, have not been investigated properly.
That's
Let me add here that people from administration, people from state directly who run the state, policymakers, judiciary people, everyone belongs to the same society. We all are products of the same society, and this is a larger sociological problem. We have perceptions. Firstly, when we came here, in the first round of questions, you asked us, why don't, if this is the tip of the iceberg, why don't people come up? Why don't they say that this has happened? This doesn't happen in our society because what we do, we blame the victim. And it's not just at a domestic level, every level, even an institutional level, we tend to blame the victim. We tend to feel that, why has she come up with this? Something must be wrong about her. Why was only she targeted? Why aren't other women targeted? Does that mean other women are not? Women are targeted. Women are targeted in buses, in schools, in colleges, in hospitals.
You have to appreciate one problem, which is a reality. That if a woman raises her voice, she comes out, she has to face social repercussions. And for that, you know, she must have a strong mind.
Let society favor her. Why should society blame her?
Exactly.
Despite having been a victim already.
That's what I'm saying.
Why should society
the problem is at national level. When the girl was raped,
Nirbhaya case.
Every politician, most of the politicians, sadhus, gurus, they came out that how should she dress up? Yesterday I was just going through a newspaper or TV channel, somebody said, women must know how much second they should know. It is derogatory. It is insulting a woman.
This is
I mean, every comment, lot of comments were coming that rise in rape cases because of explosion of population. Degradation of moral values, net result is that women will be raped. I mean, it is absurdity of the society that for everything the victim is to be able.
We come back to education. We come back to sensitization.
I want to ask you, is it that the men are yet to accept women as counterparts?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Basically, when Javaid Sahab said that it is the mindset. You have to educate, and it will take, I think, years together. Centuries have already passed. That means it will again take centuries together to make man conscious that she's an individual, having an identity of her own. Absolutely. And we say that men and women, they are equal They are different in role but equal in dignity. Let them come to understand this.
Okay.
That they cannot just shares come out of because it is.
And how can it be done? I mean,
again,
I want to talk about the institutions, the educational institutions.
When Javaid Sahab says that laws are not to be implemented, they are not implemented. Whom would you blame? Administration. Why don't they? I mean, if there is exemplary punishment to the culprit, which is not even happening at national level. Look at UP's state. Look at every state. Every passing day you come out with the news that falani minors are not being spared.
Okay.
Minor. What will this mindset do?
Javaid
How
sir,
long are you going to?
in your career, have you been able to actually punish a culprit for such a case ever?
Well, I don't have to punish anybody because I have to take the accused,
have you investigated a case?
Accused to the court of law.
Mm-hmm.
You have had lots of cases in, say for example, Srinagar. I may quote one example. Srinagar, you had lots of cases which in the general parlance is called eve teasing.
Right.
So cases have been registered, and during the last 10-20 years, hundreds of them. Then what is the procedure? Procedure is that you register a case, which is known as Section 294.
Okay.
You register a case, investigate it, and take to the court of law.
What
I am saying is that when you investigate a case and you complete the investigation of the case, in such cases you must have special courts.
Fast track courts.
Fast track courts.
Special courts, as in the case of some other acts, laws, you have special courts, and the decision must come. It must be a legislation in any case.
Time bound.
We are not here to decide.
Right.
The legislature will decide. Right. It has to be a time bound thing.
Certainly.
Time bound thing, and time bound will give you quick results, and unless you put the fear of the God into the minds of these people, the fear of the law, it's very difficult to tackle this problem, because this problem is going to emerge as a menace.
Shana, the maximum quantum of imprisonment for such cases, be it molestation, be it passing of obscene comments like 294 or 376 or even 354, maximum punishment, I wondered and I've read it, is up to 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
Which is again very less. The quantum of
These
punishment is very
are
less.
cognizable offences. That's
Right.
why we
and
are
it's a
registering
bailable offence as well.
It's one out of the two is bailable, the other is non-bailable, but bails are granted.
If you talk of changing, I will again refer Javaid sir, or all of us, we are talking of mindset. Whose mindset you are going to change? The persons who rule the country? Do you find any mindset change of mindset?
I want to make a point, Qurat.
I mean, do you? I don't find.
When you talk of mindset and psychology,
when
you talk of mindset and psychology, is it that we've become so insensitive to these rapes and molestations over the past 20 years? Because we've had news and things happening about rapes, accused or on security forces or X or Y or Z. Is it that we have become so insensitive that we hardly bother about these cases? What about the conscience of Kashmir's civil society?
That is why I was telling you, when you are talking of mindset, changing of mindset is a very tricky problem. I mean, how mindset change karna? What will you take? You must start respecting women, fear of God, Javaid Sahab. The more of religious preaching, both in Muslims as well as in Hindus, because there are thousands of channels where preaching religion, where are preaching morality. What is the net result? That this is being exploited. This again is being exploited. Right. And I personally don't think there is an iota of change of mindset.
I'm not the cases that you have come across. I want you to tell me that what kind of cases have you come across? I mean, who are the people accused? I mean, and have you been successful in at least making the victim at least have a bit of satisfaction that the victim has reached to a level where she is satisfied that something is happening?
Shana, like we were discussing about education, it needs to be gender-specific education and gender-sensitizing education, which needs to be component of our education syllabi, as well as it needs to be a part and parcel in our homes. When we raise children, we raise a boy differently, we raise a girl differently. When we compare, we always tell the boy that don't do this, ye bahut chota kaam hai, ladki karegi. When your mom is washing utensils, you tell your boy, "Arey karne do mama ko, ye nahi karte beta, this is not to be done." Shana, this is where it begins. It begins at home and it raises in school and then it goes and blasts off in society.
Exactly.
You asked me about the victims and what kind of cases I have seen. I have seen all kinds of cases, Shahana. There are cases, like I told you in the beginning, in which we consider people who are very close to the victim and we consider them as maintainers, protectors of the victim. They have violated her. While as there are cases in which strangers every day in a public bus, they grope against you, they touch you, they want to take all benefits from you. This happens every day, this is everyday story, and now it happens at workplaces as well, and all sorts of cases have been seen by me, but at the same time, there are all sorts of myths attached to these cases.
Okay.
People who are in power, they will not do it. ये तो बहुत पढ़ा लिखा है, ये थोड़ी ना करेगा ऐसा.
Okay.
One myth,
Okay.
education has nothing to do with gender sensitivity.
Javaid Sahab, what if that we have an active policing agency for such issues, and why have we failed to have such an active policing agency to take a look at these things?
I don't think that police alone can do this job.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is a job which is collective responsibility,
Yes.
and primarily the responsibility on the society, on the religious preachers, on the imams, on
Mothers,
on scholars,
parents.
and the first thing is the mother. If mother starts this campaign,
Okay.
this will be a successful campaign.
How do you look at me? Yeah.
In our valley, how many parents are still accusing government of not granting justice for their minors? Minors are being molested, or some of them died. So they are still crying, and nobody pays any attention to them.
And how many of parents still want to determine the sex of the child who
Yes,
is
I
unborn?
wanted to make a point that
At the
yes,
same time.
Jammu and Kashmir is one state that has the highest rate of female feticide, and nobody is looking into the matter. We talk of religion, we talk
Yes.
of high morals, and we talk of values.
I told you
what has
this-
happened to the
this is-
society.
I
Qureshi?
just told you that only religious preaching, unless it goes into the head and soul of the person who is listening, it has just become a formality. That you will just switch on the television, you will have a religious preacher telling you what does Islam stand for.
But we
What
have
does
to make a start somewhere.
you know and
We can't sit in isolation.
exactly. But
We
I
have
think
to make a
something
start.
our educational system is lacking something.
So what should we do to have an active mechanism to tackle the situation and stop it right here?
Accountability
Before
also
it-
matters. Listen, accountability also matters. That agencies, investigating agencies as well as prosecuting agencies, have to be very strict and transparent.
Okay.
And they have to, not that they will take these days together or months together.
All right.
As Javaid Sahab said, they have to be very quick. And in dispensation of justice, only then it will stop this crime, so much of rising
I
crime.
wanted to highlight another point in this debate, that you were talking. She was referring about the workplace.
Yes.
I take that problem very seriously, because if somebody harasses a woman while walking on the pavement,
Yes.
10 people are standing by, maybe somebody may intervene. And that is something which is happening at a public place. But once something is happening inside the office, that's a very serious thing, because and you have to have very sensitive about this thing.
We've had a media exposure kind of a thing, what we called. Is it just the positive media exposure or the negative media exposure? I just wanted to ask all the panelists.
I will tell you one thing, that you see, you must give credit to media. We are sitting 4 persons here discussing a problem, and I don't know how many people are going to watch it subsequently. So give that credit
No,
to
no,
media.
they are not doing a favor to us. Listen, Javaid Sahab, I mean what she says, that I don't think there should be trial media, because media also jumps to the
No,
conclusion.
I'm
Without
not
media
asking.
jumps to conclusion. Recently, in a case, you will find media headings. Unless you should not just blame the accused because he or she is being accused. Wait for the trial. Go for the thorough investigation. Then you are allowed to pass comments and
Basically,
judgments.
there are both
Do not pass judgments unless you have gone through the trial.
Basically, there are both sides to the thing. Media has done a great service as well as disservice.
Yeah.
By objectifying women, you have an ad for cement and you have a woman posing for cement. You have an ad for deo spray, and the only idea which they want to promote by advertising for a deo spray is that if you smell good, you have more girlfriends. So this insensitivity, which is in media run by same people of our society, it has to be seen.
I'll tell you the other side of the media,
Yes.
because I had not completed. The other side of the media is that, while we are discussing this workplace, harassment at workplace, I'm referring to that in particular, you have to think about the safeguards of the males working in the offices also. Because, you see, many things can happen.
Yes, it can be misused.
It can be misused if you empower. If you empower without any concrete
responsibility,
it's bound to get exploited. So I have talked to many officers who say that we are honestly telling you, if a lady comes into the room, they immediately call their colleagues in the office and make them to sit on one pretext or other.
I got your point. That is
very unfortunate.
Because that is also to be kept into consideration.
But why has women become such an instrument kind of a thing? This is a question. Mantasha, what is happening?
Shana, when you talk of torture and workplaces, she will bear me out. Torture is of many types. An innocent girl working in an office, the boss exploits her just for sake of a casual leave, 2 days casual leave, or transfer. Why doesn't, when you said that, why don't people come out on streets? There is a taboo in society.
Why will they come out? How will they come out?
How will they come out?
The lady comes out and and her character will be assassinated. They will want to know which family she belongs to, which area she lives in.
Why did she come out?
What dress was she wearing?
And
how did she talk? A victim has no protection in our society, and this is something to do with our gender insensitivity.
Why don't we use technology at workplaces?
Okay.
What is the problem? We can use technology.
CCTV cameras.
Yes, why
exactly.
not?
That is what is happening now.
It is no, it's not happening everywhere.
No, not everywhere.
Maybe selected places, but the question is, it is affordable, and its photos never lie. So, you will be.
I'll take a quick response from all the panelists. That how can we stop this from growing further?
Yeah, I will come to this Javaid Sahib's point. No doubt, mindset, earnest efforts, and we have to seek serious help from religious preachers in real sense, scholars from both sides, and fear of God. I think personally that is a must. That you are responsible, you are accountable for each and every action of yours, and you will be paid harshly if you don't come to sense. I wish if everybody takes it seriously, that I am accountable for each and every. But that is my unfortunate is this, that it is lacking.
Javaid sahab, how much role will the accountability part play? If accountability or punishments or fast track courts will be there, how much role will this play?
Exemplary punishment.
That will be definitely producing results.
Yes, exactly.
To your satisfaction, to my satisfaction, everybody's satisfaction.
It will be a healthy trend.
Because nobody gets punished.
Yeah, that is the main cause.
So is it just that government has become too insensitive to actually
having laws?
Kuraji, just a second.
Yes.
Kuraji, has government actually become insensitive?
Yes, I think it has become. That is when I told you that in general perception among the masses is that for government it is a routine matter.
Even for the police?
Even police is a part of government. Agency, there should be seriousness in tackling.
Mantasha.
Yeah, you didn't take my response.
I'm sorry.
You asked that if laws are enacted, will they help? Only laws will not help. They will not help. There are myriad of laws. We have Domestic Violence Act, we have Dowry Prohibition Act, we have PCPNDT. There are it's a huge list. Another law, all right, it might help, but in a very short span of time and yield very short results. But in the long run, it is gender sensitivity which has to be percolated down to our children, to our society, and it can be done through religion, through education, through sensitivity, and through
begins from home, from mother.
Thanks very much for joining us on Rising Kashmir Debates. It is really a discussion that's going to take huge lot of a time, because it's just not the matter of one particular woman, it's the matter of the whole society. And at a time when men and women are considered to be at par, there are still some things that go unnoticed. I want to make a point that it is really important that we have sensitivity beginning from home, beginning from schools, in institutions, college and religious preachers. I hope the viewers will at least have an idea that this issue has actually created a space for discussion and debates, and this issue really needs to be addressed. Thanks very much for joining us on Rising Kashmir Debates. See you next time. Till then, take care and goodbye.